You ever wake up one morning, step outside with a cup of coffee, and feel like something in your world is off, but you can't quite figure out what? That was me standing barefoot on my porch, staring at what used to be the pride of my yard. My 20-year-old maple tree. Only now, it wasn't there anymore. Just a ragged stump, fresh sawdust everywhere. At first, I thought maybe the city had done it, or maybe a storm knocked it down overnight. But the air was still, and there hadn't been a cloud in the sky for weeks. Then I saw her, Karen, my next-door neighbor, standing smugly in her yard, arms crossed, sunglasses on, holding a bright orange chainsaw like she just finished filming an action movie. I froze. My tree, the one that shaded my porch every summer, that I'd hung lights on every Christmas, was gone, cut clean at the roots. "Good morning," she chirped. "Hope you don't mind." It was blocking my view. My mind went blank. Blocking her view? I felt my pulse pounding in my ears. I'd dealt with her before. Petty noise complaints, trash bin lectures, the occasional friendly reminder about HOA rules. But this was different. She hadn't just crossed a line. She'd bulldozed right through it. I called out, "Karen, that tree's on my property." She smirked. "Technically, the branches were hanging over my fence. I did you a favor." A favor. That word echoed in my head like an insult. The shade that kept my house cool. The home of the robins that nested every spring. Gone. I called the HOA. They told me to file a formal complaint. I called the city. They said it was a civil dispute. Everyone I spoke to gave me the same answer. Nothing they could do. So I did what any calm, rational person would do. I smiled, thanked them for their time, and hung up. Because if Karen wanted her view back so badly, I was about to give her one she'd never forget. The kind of view that would make her wish that tree was still standing. And that's how my little project began, and quiet, patient, and just the right amount of poetic. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the empty space where my tree once stood. The moonlight hit the stump like a spotlight, reminding me of what she'd done, and how easily she'd gotten away with it. Karen had no idea what she'd just started. The next morning, I brewed my coffee, sat by the window, and started sketching. Not out of anger, but out of inspiration. If she thought cutting my tree would give her a better view, then I'd give her a view she'd never forget, one that would define her mornings for years to come. I started small, a tall pergola right where the tree had stood. But the more I drew, the more creative I got. What if it wasn't just a pergola? What if it was something bigger? Something that couldn't be ignored? I called my friend Nate, a local contractor with a wicked sense of humor. When I told him what happened, he laughed so hard he nearly dropped his coffee. "Wait, she cut it herself? Without asking?" "Yup." "And you didn't call the cops?" "They said it's property damage dispute." He paused. "Then you know what? Let's build something she can't dispute." Within a week, we had blueprints. The structure would be completely on my side of the property line. Perfectly legal, but tall enough to cast a massive shadow directly into Karen's backyard every afternoon. I ordered custom lattice panels, climbing vines, and outdoor curtains. Then I added a feature she'd never expect, a motion-activated misting system. Every time someone got too close to the fence, it would release a cool spray of water. Perfect for watering the plants, of course. When construction began, Karen came out, hands on hips, eyes squinting. "What are you building?" She barked. "Just something to help with the sun," I said with a smile. "You know, since I don't have my tree anymore." Her lips tightened. "As long as it doesn't block my view again." "Oh, don't worry," I said, holding back a grin. "It's designed specifically for your view." By the end of the week, the frame stood tall, towering, elegant, and casting the most satisfying afternoon shadow right into Karen's patio. And I wasn't even done yet. The real surprise was still to come. And it involved a little artistic flair that Karen would never see coming. By the third week, my backyard no longer looked like a construction zone. It looked like a statement. The pergola towered high and proud, draped in green vines that were growing faster than I'd ever expected. Every afternoon, its shadow stretched gracefully across my lawn, and right into Karen's patio. It was poetic justice in motion, nature reclaiming what she'd stolen. But I wasn't satisfied yet. No. Karen needed to feel what she'd done, not through anger or shouting, but through pure, quiet irony. So I added one final touch. I reached out to a local artist known for his outdoor installations. When I explained my theme, he laughed for a full minute before agreeing to help. We designed a carved wooden sculpture, tall, twisting branches reaching toward the sky, painted in rich amber tones. Right in the center, a small plaque that read, "For the shade that was taken and returned with love." When it arrived, Nate helped me install it beneath the pergola. Together, we stood back and admired our work. It was beautiful, peaceful, and just the right amount of petty. The next morning, I was sitting on my porch when I heard the sound of Karen's sliding door open. I didn't even have to look. I could feel her stare. Her voice came sharp and cold. "What is that supposed to be?" I sipped my coffee, smiled, and said, "Art." "It's blocking my light again," she snapped. "Strange," I said, tilting my head. "You didn't seem to mind when you blocked mine." She huffed, muttered something about reporting it, and stormed back inside. That was the last real conversation we ever had. Within days, the vines bloomed into thick green curtains. Birds began nesting again. My backyard became cool and calm, just like before. Only this time, it came with a quiet satisfaction every time I stepped outside. The best part? Every evening as the sun dipped low, its final rays hit the sculpture just right, casting a perfect shadow of the carved branches across her fence. I didn't cut her tree. I didn't yell or seek revenge. I simply gave her back the shade she'd so desperately wanted gone. And somehow, it suited her perfectly. A few months passed, and my backyard had transformed into something out of a magazine. The vines had thickened, the pergola stood strong, and the carved sculpture had become the talk of the neighborhood. People walking by would stop, take photos, and compliment the design. Except, of course, for one person, Karen. She hated every inch of it. At first, she tried ignoring it. Then she started accidentally tossing leaves and trash over the fence. When that didn't bother me, she escalated. One afternoon, I came home to find a city inspector in my driveway. Clipboard in hand, he said, "We received a complaint that your structure violates height regulations." I smiled. "It's exactly 8 feet. I double-checked before building. You're welcome to measure." He did, every inch. And when he finished, he gave me a grin. "You're good. Whoever complained must have been mistaken." From behind her curtains, I could see Karen watching. The next week, she tried another angle, claiming my vines were encroaching on her fence. The HOA came out, looked, and shrugged. "They're growing vertically. No violation. Strike 2. By then, even the neighbors had started catching on. One morning, Mrs. Henderson from 2 doors down whispered, "She really cut down your tree? Unbelievable." Soon everyone knew the story. The woman who chopped down someone else's tree, and then got buried in its shadow. The irony spread faster than the vines. Then came summer. The heat was brutal. And guess whose patio sat directly under that massive, cool shadow every afternoon? That's right, Karen's. She stopped coming outside entirely. Her perfect view was now a blanket of green. The same shade she'd stolen from me had come right back to her. Multiplied, beautiful, and inescapable. One evening, as I watered my plants, I saw her standing at the fence line. She didn't say anything. No lecture, no sarcasm. Just a quiet, lingering stare at the vines swaying in the breeze. For the first time, she looked tired, maybe even regretful. I nodded politely. "Evening, Karen." She hesitated, then whispered, "Nice garden." And that was it. No apology, no confession. But honestly, I didn't need one. The silence said enough. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't loud or angry. It's green, it's peaceful, and it grows quietly, until it shades the one who tried to cut it down. All right, folks, what would you have done if your neighbor cut down your tree? Tell me in the comments, tap like if you enjoyed the twist. And don't forget to subscribe for more satisfying stories.